would assume this is a tough matchup for Sigrist.
Yes.
And Feeney knows his way around a control deck. Now, Feeney has mulliganed, scrying to the bottom. Our other matchups on the standard table, blue-white control from Dylan Donegan is against red-black aggro from Zachary Kiihne. Ethan Gaieski is playing a Delver Mirror against Noah Walker. It's Teamer versus Grixis.
I don't want to play a Delver Mirror against Noah Walker.
No, I just get embarrassed. I don't like getting embarrassed.
Gaieski is definitely a player that players look to for legacy knowledge, though. He certainly knows what he's doing.
Luke, turn 1, shocking for Hollowed Fountain and saying go. Remember, he is a 4-opt build of the deck.
Yeah, it certainly smells like an opt.
Well, it's interesting, though, to shock turn 1 for opt when you're on the play on a mulligan because you have that free scry.
You just want to get the opt out of your hand. In particular, if you might want to cast something on turn 2 and then lay up into a Snapcaster Mage for opt on turn 3.
Flameblade Adept for Mike Sigrist. Luke will cast opt and just draw the top card.
Also, if you're just missing your land drop, you really want to cast that opt on turn 1.
Yeah, my guess is that means he'd scryed. What I was getting at, I think he's probably scryed to the bottom if he's making that play.
Right.
We will see Search for Azcanta from Luke. Back over Sigrist we go. A cycle of Street Wraith. You see Burning Inquiry in Mike's hand. Now, there's some interesting interaction there if he casts it with Azcanta. He'll kind of turbo that up.
Sure. Given that it's worth 3 points of damage with the Flameblade Adept, I would say that exchange is well worth it.
He'll still do it. But also has Goblin Lore in hand, so he has his choice of random discard effects.
Yeah, given it kind of depends what he has for follow-up or what he cares about drawing. The Goblin Lore is generally the better card, and it makes sense. It costs 2 mana to Inquiries 1, especially when Feeney is going to care about cards in Graveyard.
Now, Mike does have Bloodghast and Flamewake Phoenix in hand, so there's some temptation here if he gets a nice Burning Inquiry.
Yeah, if you get to discard the Phoenix, if you only spend 1 mana on the Inquiry over the 2 on the Lore, you'll be able to bring that back as the Adept will have more than 4 power.
And as random discard goes, you see him talking with Noah Walker, there's just a lot of calculation here, do you Inquiry or Lore? Do you make the land drop first before doing so? He decides to just Goblin Lore this turn.
It's also more looks for a hollow one.
Sure.
It'll be a big deal to get a hollow one down on this turn. This is 1 turn before Feeney could have a Wrath of God, a Supreme Verdict.
I like this method of randomization. Quick and fair. Lightning Bolt. He discards the hollow one.
Also discarded Phoenix, but losing the hollow one, not where you want to be.
I love watching people play this deck. It's just the swings are so real. And an attack for 5 from Flamewade Adept. It's 1 for the Street Wraith, 3 from the Goblin Lore.
Ooh. All right, Feeney checking on Search for Azcanta.
Negate, he'll pass on that.
I believe he's already drawn at least 1 copy of Terminus, which is not ideal.
Ooh, and there's that main deck Timely Reinforcements from Luke Feeney. He is both behind on creatures and life points, so he'll get the full 6.
And this is a big deal. I don't know if this was deliberate or part of the plan, but because of that shock on turn 1, that's what allowed Feeney to be behind on life.
Oh, wow.
So he gained 4 life in essence because of that. The life totals would have been tied otherwise.
First update, Dylan Donegan takes game 1 over on the standard table. But you're absolutely right, he was behind by 2.
Just 1 main deck copy of Timely, but that is significant.
Now, you mentioned Terminus in Luke's hand. Unlike Legacy, it's not particularly easy for him to get Terminus out of his hand.
Right, your Brainstorms cost 4 mana in this format. He does have 3 Jace the Mind Sculptors, but the idea of Terminus is it's cheaper than Wrath of God, not more expensive over 2 turns.
Here's one way to get it out of your hand. Mike's going to cast a Burning Inquiry.
Not the way you want to get out of your hand, but
who knows? Yeah.
I bet Feeney is interested in discarding that over the other spells in his deck.
3 cards. We'll see what, and he'll pick 3 for Luke.
Ooh, I like the middle. That's a
Path,
good selection.
Colonnade, and Plains were discarded by Feeney.
Castable spell in 2 lands, leaving the Terminus behind. Feeney's probably not too happy about that.
Sometimes Burning Inquiries to him to Turok.
I mean, frequently it kind of is, right?
Yeah, well... yeah, like sometimes it just messes up your hand.
Right.
There's at least one Flamewake Phoenix in the graveyard for Sigrist.
Ooh, and I believe he picked up a hollow one that he didn't discard.
Never a bad time for that. Flamewake Phoenix into play. An attack from Flameblade Adept. The Adept will be double blocked, looks like.
You can go for the triple block to play around Lightning Bolt. Because if you just double block and Sigrist bolts one of the tokens before damage, then the Adept just gets to live.
Right. Now, by doing that, it means that if there's a hollow one, you can't jump it next turn.
The other problem is if it's not there, the Adept just already has 3 power.
Yeah.
It's kind of an annoying spot, because neither of the options are actually good. You just decide which one is less bad. Am I going to give away my token for nothing? If they have Lightning Bolt or if they don't. You're actually choosing which way you want to potentially give away your token for nothing.
I like this from Luke. Just the double block, and he's rewarded. There's no Lightning Bolt.
Yep.
Takes 2. Luke goes to 17. Now we see some more from Sigrist. He does have a hollow one. And he'll pass back. Mike, Sigrist for this game, some of his discards have not lined up. He has both Flamewake Phoenix and Bloodghast still in his hand.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
Yeah.
After resolving multiple discard effects.
Luke will transform his Azcanta into Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, that Burning Inquiry helping him a lot along the way. Now just one more turn away from Terminus if his land drops cooperate.
It looks like he was looking at playing a tap land here, which would be a Hallowed Fountain or a Celestial Colonnade, which shapes him right up to that. It is the Colonnade.
Plays it, says go. Over on Legacy, evening things up for the teams, Ethan Gaieski takes game 1 over Noah Walker.
Got to feel good about that one.
Absolutely. Luke has an Azcanta activation up, Terminus in hand. I believe land 6 as well. It's going to take a healthy hit here, but as long as it's not for 17.
With the transformation of that Azcanta, Feeney is now in Cryptic Command territory. Only 2 copies in his deck this weekend.
Flamewake Phoenix from Sigrist. And because Feeney has the follow-up of Terminus plus land drop, this is a no-brainer for him.
Yeah, Terminus is just so much better than Supreme Verdict against Hollow One. Getting rid of these 2 Flamewake Phoenixes in a more permanent fashion is so powerful.
An activated Azcanta for Luke. Sees Jace and Think Twice as options, and he'll take Jace.
I'm inclined to agree with that selection. Jace a little bit more powerful than the Think Twice.
I was hoping he'd take Think Twice, just cause.
I did enjoy the pause.
But here's Glacial Fortress, and here's the Terminus. All the creatures sent to the bottom of the deck for Sigrist. Got a ways to go. Luke at 13 with that Azcanta. We'll see if Mike can reload.
13's a scary life total because the Bloodghast doesn't even have haste yet.
Right. Sigrist casts a 2-1, says go. That is not a particularly strong play. So Bloodghast do a lot.
Yeah, Sigrist has not yet produced a Faithless Looting either in hand or to the graveyard.
Right.
Which is a pretty important element to the deck in a lot of the games.
Well, looks like Sigrist has some extra lands still in his hand. He's hoping to find something like a Burning Inquiry that will get rid of those for him.
Right.
And Jace the Mind Sculptor from Luke.
Given that Sigrist is a Lightning Bolt deck, going to 5 just means that you'd get to trade with Bloodghast plus Lightning Bolt in a lot of situations. So I like that Feeney is just going for the Brainstorm here.
Yeah, and that's what he'll go for, the Brainstorm. And even if the Jace ends up trading away with removal, because Luke has both land drops and Azcanta, I feel like he's okay with this.
And with Sigrist just committing as little as he is, there's a good chance that the hand is some mixture of lands and lightning bolts.
Detentions here from Feeney will take care of Bloodghast. You really mentioned the difference in this matchup of Jeskai versus Blue-White. Instead of having Supreme Verdicts and Lightning Bolts, he has Detention Spheres and Terminus, and that just makes all the difference.
Yeah, that Terminus was a big deal.
Gurmag Angler from Sigrist. A fine play, but with an onboard Jace, I don't care too much.
Yeah, Feeney will be able to clean that one up, but that's all Sigrist has got.
Entreat the Angels from Feeney, and Sigrist will pick up the cards.
Yeah, no reason to keep going against that.
So, Luke Feeney, 1-0, takes the lead on Mike Sigrist here on the Modern match.
There's definitely a random element to putting Terminus in your Modern deck, but it can pay off in a big way in a matchup like this.
Yeah, well, what I like there is it wasn't even Miracled. He actually just ramped up to 6. Now, it kind of shows some strength of Search for Azcanta.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Blue Rampant Growth is a very powerful card, just by itself.
Right. Just Blue getting a Rampant Growth is already wild.
Yeah.
And he also got to use it to draw a Jace. That's all right.
It's not bad. Let's take a look at the sideboards. On Sigrist's side, he has 3 Fatal Push, 3 Grim Lavamancer, 3 Leyline of the Void, then 2 copies of Ancient Grudge, Engineer Explosives, and Thoughtseize.
Not a lot to like in this matchup. The big thing I'm looking at is those 2 Thoughtseize.
Right. A lot of this exiling removal he needs to clear away.
It is obnoxious just how good Terminus is. You're never going to be able to Thoughtseize that almost ever in a way that you care about it. You know, against other decks that are only playing Supreme Verdict or Wrath of God, you can tag that in their hand. But when they flip over Terminus, it just costs 1. You didn't get any looks at it with your Thoughtseize. Very frustrating.
Right. The 6 mana Terminus you have plays against, but the 1 mana ones you just have to dodge.
Right.
So not much of an improvement for Sigrist here, and with only 2 Thoughtseizes boarded in, I would assume Feeney is still a favor in the matchup.
Yeah, then we go to Feeney's sideboard. He has 2 Dispels, 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Vendilion Click, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Stony Silence, a Celestial Purge, a Disdainful Stroke, a Negate, a Settle the Wreckage, and a Timely Reinforcements. There's some pretty good stuff here for Feeney.
Yeah.
We have those 2 Rest in Peace. Those figure to be pretty good in the matchup. That Celestial Purge answers most of Sigrist's threats, and the Settle the Wreckage is just excellent.
It's just more things that exile. That's what all 4 of those cards do.
Right, and I certainly don't mind the second Timely Reinforcements. That can buy a lot of time in the matchup.
So Luke will just continue to try to exile all these cards. Now, some good news for Mike Sigrist. His teammate Dylan Donegan has won the match over in Standard. So if Mike is not able to come back post-board, they get a shot with Noah Walker as well.
Right.
But yeah, Settle the Wreckage exiles attackers, Celestial Purge exiles cards, Rest in Peace exiles cards.
Yeah, just a higher density of exiling effects is just a huge deal. And honestly, Timely Reinforcements can actually be worth multiple turns of value. The extra life, the blockers that bridge you into those 4 and 6 mana effects sometimes, that matters a lot. Put Feeney very far ahead in game 1 there.
Yeah. So with game 1 shaping up how it did, what is Mike? Is there a way that Mike Sigrist can play this to try to, I guess, get past all this exiling?
Part of it is just the fact that a lot of his draw spells, the way that he plays the game, involves randomly distributing the cards in his hand. And part of it is just that he's so much worse at being a mid-range deck than Feeney, is that he just has to go fast. There's not really 2 ways about it. You can hedge a little bit against sweepers. You know, maybe you don't bring all your blood gas back. You save them with a fetch land for when you get your opponent to 10. You can do some small things like that. But mostly you just have to hit the gas. Know when it's worth it to play around something, and know when you just lose to something else if you try to. Theoretically, you can mitigate the damage a Terminus does, and you just end up losing to Feeney having a path to exile, you know. You got to just kind of jam into the Settle the Wreckage, deal as much damage as you can as fast as possible, because the longer the game goes, the more Feeney is going to hit you with disruptive elements.
So Sigrist, turn 1, cycle Street Wraith, cast Burning Inquiry. Let's see if Mike can make some hollow ones.
Yeah, the best possible way in this matchup and any matchup, make as many hollow ones on the first turn of the game as you can.
Sure. So in this one, he has to do that and then dodge Terminus.
Yeah, I mean, nothing you can do about that one. Maybe if he had some Mishra's Baubles, he could impact his game plan.
Well, that was what? You'd use your Bauble, you'd see if the Terminus was there, and then it'd be there.
And then you could see it.
Dang, it's there.
Right. I guess I'll pick him up. Like negate Ghost Quarter Flooded Strand for Feeney. And Sigrist discarded Explosives.
Another Burning Inquiry and a Goblin Lore.
And he does have a hollow one.
All right. Mission successful. Got one into play.
Feeney picked up a Wrath of God. That's a little bit slow on the draw against Hollow One. He'd be happy to have it if he can do something about this early pressure.
Fetchland and pass for Feeney. Now, against this deck, it is the kind of deck where you actually can turn one Path to Exile a Hollow One if you have to. Mike won't punish you too hard for that.
Yeah, Sigrist's value game all revolves around discarding the right things. The extra mana doesn't benefit him too much. There's situations where flashing back Faithless Looting ahead of time can be a big deal. But in general, you just want to conserve your life total. It's not like a Birds of Paradise matchup where pathing it obviously doesn't do anything. And even against their other creatures, just wrapping them in Collected Company or anything like that.
Tapping out for Goblin Lore here does Mike. So looking for another Hollow One if possible. Discard will be 3 at random. Faithless Looting, Thoughtseize, and Bloodghast. Gets a Bloodghast into the yard. And a Faithless Looting into the yard. Not too bad. Checks his hand for Hollow Ones. Negative.
Already having the 1's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, he'll swing for 4. I like how when Sigrist resolves these, draws the card off Goblin Lore and without even looking.
Why
look?
The
discard.
Why give yourself a chance to become emotionally invested in the outcome, right?
And Luke will path that Hollow One. Now, this is something where it's a bit of a misstep on Luke's side if he was going to make this play. Because the Bloodghast is in the graveyard, Mike gets it back when the Path to Exile resolves.
Yeah, that old landfall trigger. That works off path.
So in that situation, Luke maybe would have wanted to path in response to the Goblin Lore if he was committed to the line?
Potentially. It's never too hard to get a Bloodghast back, but yeah, you can mitigate it. You can make it so it wouldn't be around until next turn anyway. Maybe losing 2 life for this. The absolute stealing of getting punished would be Sigrist discarded 3 Bloodghasts. That would be a nightmare.
Right, and you just don't even cast the path anymore.
Yeah. It actually just puts you behind.
For his turn, Feeney will just make Celestial Colonnade. And from Sigrist, looks like we're going to see Collected Brutality, discarding Flamewake Phoenix to escalate. So he'll use the discard mode and the Drain 2 life mode. In response, Luke will cast Opt.
Kind of as I suspected, you see that Opt from Luke in response because the hand's pretty land light.
Rest in Peace, Celestial Purge, Search for Azcanta, Jace, Wrath of God, and land number 3, Field of Ruin.
So the cards you can take, just Wrath of God, Celestial Purge. So he has that Phoenix in graveyard, he has Bloodghast. I think he's more concerned about the Purge than the Wrath of God currently. Especially because the Wrath of God, there's just some added tension there. You kind of wish you could take the Rest in Peace. That's a bigger deal than either of those.
Yeah, no, it's just instant or sorcery.
You're right.
You can't take Search, Rest, or Jace, so he'll go with take the Celestial Purge and drains for 2.
Yeah, the 2-mana spell versus the 4-mana spell, especially in a deck that has so many creatures that can pop out of the graveyard, though that's not going to happen. This Rest in Peace is likely going to be Feeney's next play.
Well, it's interesting. So Feeney does have a 7-card graveyard already, so if he casts Rest in Peace, Search for Azcanta never transforms. So maybe
there's a cost.
Well, I'm wondering, can he take... How bad is it if Luke makes Search and then Rest in Peace on the following turn? Is that... It's too much, can't do it?
So we go down to 13 this turn. It does depend somewhat on what Sigrist's follow-up is here.
All right, it's going to be Gurmag Angler.
Yeah, you really want to be casting Wrath of God on turn 4.
So you want to cast Rest in Peace, then Wrath of God.
Right. This Gurmag Angler does change the texture quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Sigrist bringing back Flamewake Phoenix, attacking for 4.
You pretty much have to Rest in Peace next turn and hope you find the land or Wrath of God the turn after. There's already 7 power on the table. You're going to 4.
You're right. You can't wait.
It would be an interesting line, but there's just too much pressure happening here.
Yeah, I guess Sigrist is attacking for 9 already on the following turn. With that Faithless Looting in the graveyard, if Luke leaves him that, it's too easy for Sigrist to just flash back Faithless Looting, find a Flamewake Phoenix, swing for lethal.
Right.
Here is Rest in Peace. Graveyards are gone. And now Luke needs to dodge 2 more damage. He's at 11. Flamewake Phoenix. There it is from Sigrist. That's 11.
All right. Did Feeney draw Path to Exile?
No, and Ryan, that 2 extra damage on Feeney's side may have added up. He'll drop the game, and we go to a game 3.
Yeah, that Path to Exile versus the Hollow one.
I don't know, but he certainly could have used 2 extra life points there.
I completely agree.
So we'll get now back to the wall for his team. As his teammate Zach Kiihne lost in Standard, Luke will need to take game 3 here. Over on the Lexi table, Ethan Gaieski still working on 1-game lead over Noah Walker.
Yeah, and that's approximately a mirror match, Teamer versus Grixis. So no real indicators with the game going along who's going to be favored there.
Yeah, especially with the Deathrite Shaman ban, that matchup a lot closer to being a true mirror.
Right.
Interestingly, looking at our legacy decks in the metagame breakdown here, Grixis Delver, 2 copies of it into day 2. One of 2 players still trying to make it work. Teamer Delver with 5 copies was the most popular choice.
It was definitely a deck that a lot of players, myself included, that was the first thing that popped into our head with the ban announcement.
To go back to playing Teamer?
I get to play Nimble Mongoose. That was pretty much it. Both Nimble Mongoose and Stifle get a ton better when you don't have to worry about a 1-mana 1/2 creature that hates your graveyard and generates mana. Everything about Deathrite Shaman was just extremely good against Teamer Delver. I remember the first time I played against it, I hadn't done too much preparation for Legacy because generally it was an invitational that was Standard and Legacy, and I was focusing way more on Standard as Legacy is a format where you can fall way more back on your experience in the past. But it was the first time that I played an invitational where Deathrite Shaman was legal and seeing wide play. And one of my opponents cast a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman. I didn't have a Lightning Bolt in my hand, but I had a Force of Will blue card. And I kind of had like an existential crisis about whether it was worth it to Force of Will this 1-mana creature. Because if it is, holy crap, what am I doing? And if it's not, I don't want to spend it. And I ended up not forcing it and just losing handily to the Deathrite Shaman. That's when I started losing a lot of interest in Legacy.
I mean, if you don't, it puts so much pressure on you to have a Lightning Bolt in the mirror.
Right.
Now, Sigrist is going to take a mulligan to 6. Feeney has kept on 7.
Hollow One's a deck that is going to mulligan a fair amount.
Yeah. The good news is that it can mulligan very well.
Hey, you're planning on discarding so many cards anyway. You generate this value out of the graveyard. It's similar to Dredge in that regard. Not quite as polarizing on the mulligan, don't mulligan front as Dredge is. But you can have some really good 5- and 6-card hands that can generate 1 or 2 Hollow Ones in the first turn, can get Bloodghast in the graveyard, bring back Flamewake Phoenix very quickly. The ceiling on the floor of Burning and Retreat are very far apart, but the ceiling is very high.
Scry to the bottom for Sigrist. Just confirming. I believe Luke on the play here. He did lose the second game. And he'll start. Again, that shocking for Hallowed Fountain and a pass.
Sigrist, champing at the bit a little bit there, but now we'll go to his turn. And now in these post-sideboard configurations where we know both players know the matchup, this might be an opt. It might even be a turn 1 Path to Exile. You will fire that off in a non-zero percentage of games in this matchup. If there's a turn 1 Hollow One, you certainly want to get it off the table.
Well, there is a Hollow One in the hand, and we're going to go Burning Inquiry from Sigrist. He has at least 1 Hollow One here, hoping to not discard them all.
Yeah, you want to draw more, and you want to discard none of them.
All right. Let's spin the wheel and see how many 4/4s he gets on the first turn. All right, Luke, how well can you find the hollow ones? That's a faithful sitting. There's a hollow one. There's a hollow one.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay, Zach.
Okay, he has a third one? There's just a third one in his hand?
So Zach Kiihne picked the discards instead of Luke. Just an MVP in his teammates' game here. He randomly selected hollow ones to discard.
Yeah, what
and
a
Mike
master.
Sigrist has a third one and a fourth one.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
He's still what is... Joke's on you. He's right. Sigrist's now be like, I expected to discard 2. I had 4.
Yeah, I had it. That is so unreal.
Oh my goodness, he had all 4. We could have had a turn 1 4 quad hollow one game. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to Modern, where the decisions don't mean anything and anything could happen.
The best part is Sigrist didn't even know. He didn't even look at the cards. So he probably saw the 2 hollow ones get discarded and thought,
oh, that's my hollow one.
That's both my hollow ones. Look at that. It's like, oh, there's 2 more.
Ooh, how nice. It's like it's my birthday.
And Ethan Gaieski takes game 2 over in Legacy as well. So this is going to be the decider as turn 2 Luke fires off a Rest in Peace.
So now Sigrist is trying to do things like honestly cast Flamewake Phoenix for 3 mana. Basically the ideal turn here. He can't draw any more hollow ones. We know that much.
Right. Well, he'll cast Burning Inquiry. This card a lot less impressive when a Rest in Peace is in play. And when your deck is out of hollow ones.
Yeah, kind of the bigger hope is that Feeney discards all of his good cards.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you even hit anymore? You have no graveyard, you have no hollow ones.
His hand also just might be do-nothings, you know.
More
imagine. Inquiries. Faithless Looting is pretty whatever now.
He'll discard 2 lands and a Collective Brutality, or a Gurmag Angler.
Hits Path to Exile and Jace from Feeney's hands. Those are pretty nice ones to get out.
There's a Path? That is an excellent hit.
Oh, yeah. Burning Inquiry playing the Thoughtseize role here.
Yeah, both of those are really good. Hollow One attacks in for 4, Luke to 14.
Speaking of Thoughtseize, I believe that's going to be Sigrist's follow-up post-combat here.
This is going to be hard for Luke to beat.
Yeah, we'll see what's left over in the hand.
I don't know how much removal Luke has in his hand for Hollow One. Jace and Path to Exile were both cards that did that.
Right. The deck has a decent amount of this sort of effect. You know, there's still Detention Spheres.
There's one. Detention Sphere's taken. He leaves Luke with Opt, Think twice.
Ooh. And this hand really wants to find not just land, but second blue source.
Rather think once, more like.
Yeah, quite a bit worse under a Rest in Peace. I would certainly argue worth the cost, but the cost is real. And Feeney now looking for a combination of lands and spells.
Any Miracles Terminus.
Never mind.
And that's going to be it. He'll say go. Eventually he'll cash in these cantrips. But as it stands, he's at 14. He's got a lot of time.
Right. Sigrist, once again, kind of the ceiling on what his deck has left over is hard casting Flamewake Phoenixes.
Well, if he cracks a fetch land, he could cast Hollow One again. It's back in his deck.
That's true.
Faithless Looting for Sigrist. Now, with Rest in Peace in play, these cards like Burning Inquiry and Faithless Looting are actually all card disadvantage.
Right. Yeah, the deck is trying to make up the random discards by putting stuff that comes back in the graveyard. Nothing comes back from exile. It particularly hurts on Inquiry, because flashing that card back is frequently a part of the game plan.
Yeah, on Faithless Looting.
Right, yeah. I misspoke.
Draw here for Luke. At this point, he's just trying to really hit land drops. And I think they're counting the basic lands in the graveyard. So on second Mountain,
Yeah, must have drawn a land, seeing if he wants to activate Field of Ruin before casting Opt.
Right. So what is our basics count? On Sigrist, he has 3 mountains and 1 swamp, so there's still 1 of each basic left in his deck.
So the third land there was Field of Ruin. I'm kind of curious about the checking because I think his hand is actually kind of forced on activating the first one.
Yeah, just to get another island.
His hand is all blue cards. He can't 2-spell despite having the requisite mana.
Here is Flamewake Phoenix. Sigrist has a threat. It will attack in for 2. Luke is down to 12.
Yeah, that's kind of the best possible thing Sigrist is doing anymore.
Yeah. Field of Ruin will take care of a dual land. Sigrist has 1 of each basic remaining in his deck.
Feeney going to find Island. Gotta imagine he'll be opting on this turn.
Yeah. Needs removal spell for Flamewake Phoenix for the moment.
So there's a couple Path to Exiles left in the deck. The Wrath of God, that one's gone. Supreme Verdict somewhere in there. A couple Terminus left over.
I'm interested to see what kind of pressure Luke feels he's under, whether or not he can afford to scry a land to the top right now. Looks like he scryed and then drew, I think, Entreat the Angels.
I thought it was Celestial Purge.
Is it Celestial Purge? Well, we'll find that out soon. That's much better.
Yeah, Purge would be one that you'd keep on top.
Field of Ruin again for Luke. This should be the last basic in Sigrist's deck.
Mm-hmm. And it's still 2 red mana sources, so he's alive to drawing those Flamewake Phoenixes.
Right.
He will have difficulty casting Bloodghast now.
Right. Yeah. I'll find another land for that. And Luke will pass. Let's see if there was a Celestial Purge. With Rest in Peace in play, I don't feel like you have to hold Celestial Purge for anything like Gurmag Angler. Phoenix is among your best hits.
Yeah, Gurmag Angler is tough to cast for 7 mana.
Yeah.
Don't believe Sigrist has that many mana-producing lands left in his deck.
Sigrist will escalate Collective Brutality, Duress, and Drain, and there's Path to Exile was the pickup. So in response, Luke will Path the Flamewake Phoenix. Don't believe Sigrist has anything he can get, but he'll shuffle.
Yeah, he would much prefer being able to find a second swamp here, but there is a cost to putting that in your deck. I mean, the swamp is generally not very good, but under Rest in Peace, he needs to be able to cast Bloodghast.
Luke is also opting with that Brutality on the stack right now. Scries to the bottom and draws. And now his top cards? Well, Think Types will be taken, and he's left with the Colonnade.
The Colonnade's a fine. 1 more land, he can start attacking with that.
Sure.
Sigrist is up to nothing. That was the last cards available to him.
Yeah, Colonnade's a pretty strong get here.
Also, even if Sigrist does start drawing Flamewake Phoenixes, if Feeney finds the land, you can just block the Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix is forced to attack. Another Colonnade is land 6 for Feeney, but next turn we'll start attacking. Flamewake Phoenix from Sigrist, it'll attack Luke to 8. Now, on Luke's side, you almost just want to say go.
Right. With light totals where they are, probably just want to try to block this Phoenix.
Yeah, says go. You see he had Terminus in hand?
Yeah, not worth.
Nope. I'll block. And that'll work. But Sigrist has a Collective Brutality in hand. I think he can -2 down the Colonnade.
Maybe get in for 2 more points.
Yeah, I mean, Luke has a second Colonnade, so it doesn't feel great. He'll just -2, no escalate. He has Burning Inquiry as his last card. And for Feeney, says go. It is land 6. He could have activated Colonnade, but looks like Luke's choosing.
I think I spotted a Cryptic Command in the hand.
Okay, yeah, Luke's just choosing to not rush things.
Right.
I guess with untapped Colonnade mana, you actually have Flamewake Phoenixes covered.
Right.
Now, there's not too many of those left in the deck.
But they're really about all Feeney needs to worry about is the thing.
Right. Here's Burning Inquiry. Sigrist has 1 card in hand. It's actually going to be a Cryptic Command from Luke.
Going to fetch in response, I assume, because he wants to counter and draw.
Well, there's an interesting one. He could also, I suppose, if he wanted to, and he could try to bounce draw. Be too fancy. Probably just counter draw being better. You will counter draw.
That's a bingo square.
Counter draw?
Yeah.
I think I have a couple on here. We'll check in at the end of the round. And another colonnade for Luke. See when he decides to go on the offensive with these. Sigrist down to 11.
Yeah, cycles Street Wraith there, which means he's in 3 colonnade hit territories.
And there we go. That's the 5th hollow one of the game. That one was put on the bottom of the deck with Terminus, shuffled back in, and now Mike Sigrist has found it.
He's not in a great position to attack if Feeney just leaves back colonnade. That exchange doesn't really matter for either player. It's bad for Sigrist. It's not. Doesn't really matter for Feeney.
He'll Terminus that hollow one again. So now Sigrist with a shuffle could draw that card for the 3rd time. Flameblade Adept from Sigrist.
That's quite a bit better than all
better,
one.
Yeah.
Feeney is going to have difficulty firing up 2 colonnades to block. And I believe he's drawn his 2nd copy of Rest in Peace. That's a blank.
Well, here's an attack with colonnades. Sigrist is down to 7. But with enough Burning Inquiry or draws here, Sigrist could make lethal. He'll go for Faithless Looting.
Okay. And that gives him some control over having an additional discard spell.
Right. These discards still trigger, so the Adept is looking to be a 3-2 right now.
Ooh.
And Goblin Lore, is that lethal?
It's only lethal. three additional cards, so it makes it 6. But it's lethal next turn, right?
Okay, yeah, it'll be a 6-2.
I made that mistake a lot, too, because you draw 4.
Right.
We only discard 3.
Yeah, that Terminus may have been fired off prematurely.
And this will force Feeney to draw something.
Yeah, he's down to 1 on the attack.
Yeah, Feeney has it in 2 with colonnades, but Sigrist has it in 1 with Flameblade Adept.
And he
draws
Wrath of God. Feeney's still in it.
Sigrist can draw a Flamewake Phoenix on this turn, and if Feeney attacks, he has a redraw on it on the following turn. I suppose he still has that 1 card left over. Not sure what that is.
So, oh no, that fetch land can't be used on Luke's side. I was gonna say
he got Stone Rain the hard way on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say interestingly, Luke could have attacked with a colonnade and Wrath of God away his own colonnade, which sounds strange, but actually gives him an extra turn. But he would have had to crack his fetch land to do that. So at 1, it's not really a play.
Right. Sigrist, just those 2 Collective Brutalities in the main deck, so he's off of those. Don't know if Lightning Bolt's still available in the deck.
And can we get it? Sigrist with a draw.
Be happy with a Flameblade Adept on this turn.
Absolutely. All right, and there it is.
So we're back to where we were a turn ago. Feeney has to answer this.
Again, he needs a top deck.
Yep.
Can he do it twice?
Sigrist posturing with that last card in hand.
It's Goblin Lore. I mean, and why not?
Yeah, you're not going to cast it next turn in a way that matters. You might be left over with a Flamewake Phoenix.
Sure. He discards some things. And says go. Feeney again needs a top deck removal spell.
Didn't get a good look.
No. Timely Reinforcements would be his best draw. Here's a swing with Colonnade. Sigrist. And he draws Flamewake Phoenix. Here's a swing.
2 things. That's got to be too much. Feeney does not have Cryptic Command mana.
And that's going to do it. He drew Feeney drew Condemn.
Oh, wow. Sigrist needed the Phoenix, and he got it. That is amazing.
Ryan, Luke had a way to win this.
He could have condemned his Colonnade after damage.
Yes. He could